Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent, and I'm with Dr. Mark Costas today. How are you, Mark?
Yo, K-Dog, what's up? How you doing?
You know, I'm great. How are you?
Doing great. Crazy day
Always.
at DSI HQ, man. It is nutty over here, but it's all good stuff. But just trying to keep up.
Good. That's always good. I heard somebody told me this is a while ago. I had a coach and she was trying to coach me through of having more balance and not being nutty and the chaos. And tell me if this resonates with you, because I tried to calm myself down and have moments of calm, which were great. But I think I secretly thrive a little bit on the nutty chaos. And I kind of enjoy that in my life. Are you the same, or is it it's so stressful for you? Because I secretly kind of enjoy that chaos of how much I can do in a day.
You know, it's funny. It depends on what the tasks are, right? If I love the tasks, like today, I'm just on fire because you and I were speaking to 12 of our clients today on a group call this morning. That started at 7. And then I went into this other really high level call with the CEO of a company that we're supposed to be collaborating with. And that was just super awesome. And then I got on with Dr. Addison Killeen, and we were doing some strategizing for DSI and DSN. And then now it's you. So it's been boom, boom, boom. I haven't had 2 seconds to even get a glass of water, but that's the kind of stuff that I love. That's intellectually stimulating for me. Now, if that was 40 patients deep into an 80 patient day, doing interproximal fillings and seating crowns and doing hygiene checks. I love dentistry, but not at that pace. That's when it gets stressful. But today's been great. So yes,
good.
Partially I say yes. I agree with you that the chaos is fun a lot of times.
But you're right. To clarify, the chaos of things that just ignite and inspire and the creative motions are always those ones that you just I love our mornings when we do coffee with K-Dog or we start our days podcasting, because I feel I'm just on this totally energized fire moment of being productive and also just energized because it's creating and it's doing fun things. So
here's a little just kind of this is semi-related, but when you look up some days, and we start at 6 some days, sometimes we start at 5:30. So when we start and you're on a different time zone and you look up and it's 11 o'clock where you are, and you've accomplished 5 hours worth of stuff before people are just barely getting started. Do you feel this crazy level of fulfillment? And I just feel I could tap out for the rest of the day, and I've had a full day already, and it's 11 o'clock. It's not even lunchtime.
It feels so good. Well, that's when I think I notice, and we can tie this into scheduling, but when you look at a day that's so full, there are opportunities if you you decide to spin it and see it in a different way, because we think I'm so busy or I'm so full. And I'm stop saying that, because that becomes the reality that I live in, as opposed to, you're absolutely right. When you and I do get up at 5, 6, we just crank through our day and we're so productive. And then you're right, you look up and it's 11 and I'm oh my goodness, I still have an entire day ahead of me, and look at everything I've already accomplished thus far. So yeah, it feels good.
It does.
It feels real good.
Great feeling, man. I love it. I love being productive. There's I just don't get how people can kind of have 2 things scheduled for a day. That's all good. And I get it. But I get so much more done when I start early and I have a structure to my day. I don't know. It doesn't work for me just to be oh, we'll see what happens. It's just never been my personality. It's never been my personality.
Well, I've tried that. And I think that ties into the dental office as well, because as an office manager, when I would take time the night before and actually plan out what I wanted to accomplish the next day, I was already in the mindset of what I was going to do. Versus now in my life when I work from home and I'm like, oh, I'm so exhausted when I finally get home. Like, I'm just going to sleep in. Those days are the worst days because I'm not on point and I don't even have a structure, and I'm trying to figure it out as I'm going through the day, and then things keep stacking up and I'm very reactive instead of proactive. And I think that might be the difference of having a proactive approach to your day and your schedule versus having a reactive, whatever comes, let it come and enjoy that.
Totally.
So
I hear you, man. I hear you. So I hear you like kind of hinting towards wanting to talk about scheduling today. Is that what you want to talk about?
I do. I'm just throwing those hints out. I'm glad you're picking them up.
Yeah, because this is how we roll. Kira's a lot more organized than I am. So she says, be on the mic at this time. And I say, okay. And then she tells me halfway through the podcast episode what we're actually going to be talking about.
Debatable. I'll tell what really happens. I send him the topics that we're going to go to, and then he starts talking, and I realize like we're flowing in a different direction than I thought we were going. So we'll just pick that one up and go. Scheduling was not even on my list that I sent you today, but I think it is so good because I want to tie back to where we talked about the waking up at 5 a.m. and getting so much done by 11. Like today, I woke up at 5 and I had a call at 5 and a call at 5:30. And then I had the call with you at 6. And then right after I went on another call at 7:30 until 8:30. And then I had another call. And then I had a call that moved. So I had a little bit of time there and I knew exactly what to do in those moments. And then I picked up right with you. And it's so good because you check through your list. But I think if I were to look at my day and say, I've got 6 calls that I need to get in, that feels overwhelming and daunting.
Yeah.
But yet we can look at our days and figure out how could we slip in more patients? Where can we find those patients that we can fit into our schedule when it already looks full? Could we just maybe move things around a little bit and have it be a much more productive and easy flowing schedule when we just look at it a little bit differently in perspective?
For sure. I couldn't agree more, man. Okay. So let's talk about how that relates to the dental office and scheduling then. So I like
think X's and slashes.
X's and slashes.
Do you think X's and slashes?
I do. I love X's and slashes, and I didn't even know what the term was until you taught me that term. But first of all, I like to start each section of my day when I'm productive, when I'm actually in the dental office, first thing in the morning and right after lunch. That's just my personal preference. And
agreed. I'm the same.
I just kind of feel like everything else fills in, and I'm okay having kind of a day that ends with a little bit less production. But those are the times that I prefer. And a big part of scheduling is scheduling to the doctor's preferences for sure. Because I mean, when I used to do molar root canal, when I would see a root canal on tooth number 15 pop up on my schedule at 4:15, I'd be like, ugh, I'm exhausted. I don't want to do that right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's where I love that you said that, because if you build that structure and that framework from the beginning, so again, that proactive approach as opposed to reactive, if I know Dr. Mark likes to have high production in the early morning and right after lunch, which I personally also am a very big believer in that. I think it's just the easiest times to be on time and to be very productive when your doctor's the most fresh.
Right.
But you plan that into your schedule. So then you start building all the way around it. And I feel like it's almost like a puzzle. Like you set the whole outside frame of the puzzle, get all those edges put into place, and then you can start filling in the middle pieces that aren't as structurally important. They're still important, but it doesn't make or break your day, and you're able to then fit more pieces around it as you build that framework.
Yep, totally. Can you talk then? Some of the people out there may not even know what we're talking about as far as X's and slashes, because you introduced this to our whole group. We had, how many? 35 people at our our last all staff meeting when you introduced the whole concept of X's and slashes? Yes,
absolutely. We had a good group. It was a good group of people, and we just kind of taught them about the X's and slashes, meaning is it X's are doctor time, slashes are assistant time. And if we can have those there, we can then start to be more productive like we were talking about. So, to take mine and Mark's example of our personal lives of getting up early and getting so much done before 11 o'clock, Well, if we can look and maximize where our doctor will be all day long and the slashes that where the assistant can maximize. So we're utilizing each person to their fullest potential. You will start to see how much more time you have in a day. It's crazy. Like when offices just schedule back to back to back appointments and that doctor, we're blocking our doctor for hour increments, but then we realize that doctor really only needs to be in there for 30 minutes maybe. The rest of the time's assistant time, meaning the assistant's taking the patient back, getting the blood pressure, placing topical. Doctor just pops in for a couple of minutes to get them numb and then leaves to go do a hygiene exam or start another anesthetic. And then we go from there. Doctor comes back into prep. Well, then the assistant's packing cord or making a temporary, or they're trying in a crown, or they're taking an x-ray for an endo. There's all that assistant time that I think is almost wasted doctor time. But so often if we're not looking at those X's and slashes, and you can literally make an appointment. So if it's a crown, well, the first 5 minutes will be assistant time of that 60 or 90 minute appointment. Then doctor comes in for 10 minutes to numb. Then assistant takes the, bite reg for the temporary or whatever we're going to be doing. And then doctor comes back in at the 20-minute mark of that appointment, preps for about 10, 15, 20 minutes, however long it takes. And then doctor leaves again because the assistant takes over at that point. And in that whole 60 or 90-minute appointment, maybe we only have 30 minutes of doctor time. The rest is assistant time. And where could we send our doctor throughout our day to utilize our doctor so they're working at their maximum efficiency and we're utilizing the rest of our team at the maximum efficiency as well? Yeah. I think that's how you can get more done with more ease and have a more productive and successful day.
Yeah. So like if I think about X's and slashes, so slashes are assistant time and X's are doctor time, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if I think about, say, a crown prep, okay, so we schedule that for, say, 75 minutes, okay? So I would come in initially, and everybody's different about this. Like the assistant in many cases would seat the patient, place the topical, maybe get a blue bite to like a pre-blue bite for the provisional that they're going to be fabricating. And then I would come in after 3 or 5 minutes, give the injection, get them numb. That would be my X. And they're only in increments of 10, but that would only take me about 3 minutes. And then I could go across the hall, do a quick hygiene check, or seat a crown in another room, or do anything else while the patient was getting numb and the assistant perhaps was completing the setup for the room or something like that.
Exactly.
And then there'd be another time, portion of the appointment after the prep when the assistant could potentially be packing cord. And then I come back in and we take the impression. And that would be another X. So potentially maybe I would be in there for a total of 15 or 20 minutes for the entire 75-minute appointment. The rest is fabrication of provisional. The assistant is completing the lab slip. We're waiting on impression to set, all those sorts of things. So that's how I envision the X's and slashes. And when the doctor actually needs to be there, there's an X. And when he doesn't, then there's slashes in there. And that goes the same for any particular clinical procedure.
Definitely. And this is so powerful because if you can do this, your doctor also is more efficient because they know they can't sit in there for 75 minutes because we've got them going other places and utilizing their time. And so I think, how do we actually get this? The dental aid team is very tactical. It's very practical of how do you go implement this into your practice, especially where this is a shorter episode of just a couple of minutes to give you, a taste of ideas that you can then go try out in your practice. So I say the easiest way to start this is to, get on Excel or just to make some boxes, do them in 10-minute increments. So each line counts as 10 minutes, and then put out the procedures of root canal, crown, implant, impression for Invisalign, an Invisalign seat, all the different procedures that you do in your day, and have them in the amount of time that you currently use. If you don't know the amount of time, have your doctor give you an ideal treatment time for every procedure. And be careful, some doctors love to think that they're faster than they really are, so you can also time them over 3 months, or three days, just to see what their average is for each procedure. But then you take this down, so you'll have crowns, implants, all your different procedures. A crown is 90 minutes, so you'd have 9 lines. That's 10-minute increments. And then you go through with your team and with your doctor, and you put a slash for where the assistant will be, an X where the doctor will be. And then you can start to take these procedures once you get those X's and slashes, and you can put these in your dental software. Every single software system has a way, whether it's an X or a slash, or I think Open Dental has like a bolded line for different colors. You then can start to see on the side where your doctor will be overlapped based on these appointments and where they are not even being utilized. And you could send them to hygiene, or you could send them in for a crown seat, and actually start to find all those little snippets of time, and you'd be shocked. When I do this in offices, I usually can find a good 2 to 3 hours of wasted time just in those small increments that we could actually move around and make our doctor more efficient.
Yeah, so if you're picturing the columns on the left-hand side, it's like a little margin, and it's a tiny, skinny little area, and I never knew what that was. I just kind of always ignored it. But that's where the X's and slashes are. If you click on that, for most practice management softwares, it allows you to create that X or slash. So that's where it is.
So simple. So I would challenge each of you to go get your doctor ideal treatment time today, figure out how long they take for each procedure. Then also make your Excel sheet of these 10-minute increments of when your assistant will be in there versus when your doctor will be. And it will be different for every practice, so make it your own and implement that into your practice software. And then go look at your schedule for the next couple of days and see how many minutes, how much time you could actually maximize if you were to move appointments around and free your doctor up. You can even print these out, play like cut and paste, and move them around and see how many minutes you can actually do. Because I think so often we're like, our day is so packed, there's nowhere else to put them. Is that actually true? Or are we just not utilizing our assistant and doctor time in an efficient way? So super fun, tactical, practical for you to go try out. And that's how I believe you can get more out of your practice, more out of your day without creating more chaos.
Great job. Great tactical episode, Kiera. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. We'll talk to everyone again. Thanks for joining us on the Dental A Team podcast.
And that wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.